Welcome to Geek Salad, a podcast about two guys talking about their passion for anything geek, from the digital world to the not-so-digital world. Now here are your hosts, Randy and J.A. LaRock.
What's up, everybody? It is I, Randy. With me, as always, is J.A. LaRock. What's up, brother?
What's up? Geek Salad in the house.
Geek Salad in the house. Alrighty. So, it's been a while. It's been some time, but we're back because, hey, real life gets in the way, as we all know.
Mm-hmm.
Just like last time. Have a good show for you today. So, I'm just going to jump right into it because picking up on kind of continuing what we kind of like talked in the last show. So the last show when I reviewed Charterstone, that I spoke about it, how it was like my first legacy game, game by Stegmaier Games or Stonemaier Games, that was really, really great because like first like legacy style game for me that I really enjoyed, my wife and I really enjoyed. Unbeknownst to you guys and to you, I had bought the year before Scythe, which was one of the biggest games that came out 2 years ago. And I ended up getting it as a Christmas gift from my brother. And I'm like, I need to sit down and play this thing. And it got huge buzz. And it sat on my shelf for a really, really long time. But the way that the more I heard about this game and everything, and as a matter of fact, hold on. I'm pretty sure I showed you this one.
Oh, nice.
I showed you the picture of this. So, what's really cool about the game, it is essentially, it's almost like a map of a world of like Europa, but set in like kind of like World War II, in between World War I, World War II type of an era. Only it has more of like a vibe of like steampunk because there's mechs and stuff. So the way that it works is each of the different nations start in a different part of the map, and you start working your way. In the center of the map is an old like abandoned factory. And like you kind of like one of the strategies is you want to get to the center of the map to the factory because it gives you an additional like action space that you can choose from as you're choosing your actions and things like that. So what's really neat about it, as opposed to like a worker placement game where you sit there and you're like, oh, I'm going to go to the forest and I get wood. When you produce resources in this game, instead of them going into your hand, they actually sit on the board itself. And the way that you utilize the resources themselves is you have to have little workers in the area. So you like claim the land and then you could use those resources from the land. So a really interesting spin on what he did with this. So the thing that's funny about the game is I got this game 2 years ago when it came out, sat on my shelf. They came out with the first expansion to the game. Without me even playing the game, I bought the expansion and held on to it. They came out with a second expansion to the game. Never played the game. Got the second expansion. I sat there and like upgraded the coins in it from like the cardboard coins to the metal coins. Like I got realistic looking resources for the games. Like I literally tricked this thing out to what you could have gotten if you bought the Kickstarter edition of the game. Mind you, did not play the game at all. My mindset in all this is like, this thing's getting a ton of buzz. People are like putting this thing as like their game of the year for that year. Like it's gotta be a good game. I'm going in blind on this. Like I sat there, walked up into the casino, walked up to the roulette wheel of my life savings, and I'm like, I'm betting on red, and this is gonna be a win. I'm either gonna win it all or I'm gonna lose it all. And like my idea is if I really didn't like the game, I could get my money out of what I invested into it because I could sell everything off as like one entire package. And finally, after like having this game sitting on my shelf for like a year and a half or 2 years, like I finally got to sit down and play it. And I have to say it was every single thing that everybody said about it and more so. And it's funny because playing it for the first time, like me and my friends, all three of us, we were first time playing it. So we literally went about 4 rounds around before and watching it how it went before everything kind of clicked in our heads of like, oh, this is how it works. What's really funny is we continued to play it, but then after the fact, we were like, damn, what we should have done is played those 4 rounds, had it click on our heads, and then reset everything and start all over again. But we didn't. But we said like what we'd probably do is because my wife didn't end up playing it, and we were like, oh, when we sit down and and my wife plays, like we'll do 4 rounds, reset the whole game, and then we'll start again.
How many players can play it?
So in the base box, it is 1 to 5, I believe. Oh, yeah, 1 to 5 in the base box. With the first expansion, it adds the 2 missing factions that you see on the map, and then it can play from 1 to 7. Which is funny because we played a 3-player and it was really interesting, and we just looked at the board and said this ought to be sheer chaos if 7 people are playing this game. Because 3 people, we were far enough away from one another that we could start moving our way towards the center of the map, and then we could start like engaging one another and fighting and, you know, like pushing each other out of the lands and stuff. Whereas playing with like 7 people, you have this one little corner of the map, and then it's like, oh, I got to push out. Crap, I'm going to start stepping on people's toes, you know? The thing that amazed me about it, so of the Stonemaier Games, like I said, I own 4 of the 5 games that Stonemaier produces. The 4 that I own are all designed by Jamey Stegmaier, who's the owner of Stonemaier Games, which I seriously like. I almost, when you put up the video, let me know, because I'm going to literally tweet out our Charterstone video and this one at them, because I would so love to get him to come onto the show and do an interview with him just to pick his brain. And
please come on our show.
Yeah, please, Jeremy. Because like his design and his games are amazing. Like from everything from Viticulture when I played it to Euphoria, which is funny because playing through his games, you can see how he's evolved, how he's designed the games, and how he's used a couple of things from each of the different games. So one of the things that I found interesting about Scythe was he took this thing where you have these like goals that you're kind of trying to do, and when you do it, you place these little stars as a marker on the map saying, okay, I accomplished this goal. And the whole thing of the game is it continues until somebody puts their last star on the board, and then the game ends, and then you do the final game scoring. And he got that from Euphoria, which Euphoria, you had to put little stars down, and then once a certain amount of stars were out, that's it. It triggered the end game. The other thing that I found that was really interesting, a design choice in this game, is you use your money to do stuff in the game, but your money is also your victory points. So you want to buy something cool. Do I put the money down, but I'm giving up victory points? What I'm going to be getting out of it in the long run is going to be worth me spending my victory points now, which is really, it's a really, really interesting game. And one of the things I thought was really great about it is the regular size board is pretty decent, but they actually came out with, it's a double-sided board. But when you flip it on the opposite side, it's like a bigger version of the regular board. And you could buy a basically little mini second board that it's the last bit of that board. So you have it just way bigger on your table. I didn't think that just a regular size board was going to take up as much space as it did on my table. And then I saw it and I'm like, Jesus Christ, if we play with the bigger board, it is going to be ginormous on the table. Like, it was huge. But at the same time, with one of the newer expansions, I can see why they have that bigger one, because it introduces airships, and the airship minis are huge. So it's like I saw a thing of somebody playing it, and like the guy was like, yeah, you may want to get the little extension board, because he like showed a picture of like having 2 workers, 2 mechs, and then the airship all in one of the original size hexagons, and they're literally like the hexagons bursting at the seams because it couldn't fit anything else on the hexagon. So it was just like, yeah, if you want to put down like resources on that, it's going to be a little bit dicey there. It's going to get a little full. But like, it has been one of those like unbelievable games that I played that now with everything said and done, I'm glad I got all the stuff for it, because it's something that, like, I know I'm going to hold on to this game for a really, really long time. And it was something to say that my wife, like, she had gone out and then came home and was watching us play. And she just watched a couple of rounds of us playing. And she's like, Jesus, this looks like a really fun, really cool game. You know, and she like kind of grasped the concept of what was going on, but she hadn't even like gone through any of the rules or anything like that. But she was like looking at it, was like, man, this looks really, really cool. And that I thought was amazing about it. And the thing that I'm like really, really looking forward to it is on New Year's Day, he announced that the expansion that they're coming out with it for this year, he's going to add legacy elements to the game itself. So the thing that I find that's going to be interesting about it is the way that he announced this like legacy system is you're going to do stuff that's going to permanently make changes, but it's not going to be how current legacy systems are that you're going to permanently change the board. He's like, you will be able to sit there and take the stuff, put it all back into the box and reset it all back. So it's something that looking at that is going to be really interesting to see how he does that, and getting a taste of like part of his legacy system with Charterstone. It's going to be freaking cool if it picks up a little things of that for sure.
How much did the game run you at the original?
So I bought it off of one of my like websites. So the thing that's funny is I also got it as a birthday gift. But if you look, well, that was one of those things where I used that to get it. But if you look like online, the game itself at retail sells for about $80. But you can like online, based on like an online reseller, you can usually get it between like, $55-$60, something like that. But it's like if you look at on top of like what I myself invested in upgrading the components, like I've sat there and probably invested enough where I've paid about what it would have been to just get the game alone to get the upgraded components.
Mm.
So like essentially, like if you look at it from a perspective of like how much have I spent on it, if I were to have bought the game and the expansions and all, like I've essentially spent double what the game costs. But like I have now in it like metal coins, which are really nice to like when you play a game like that with metal coins instead of cardboard coins, like the like nice like feel of the coin is so nice to hear them like banging up against one another, making that little clinking sound. And they're not like the thing that I love about it is that they're not like cheaply made coins. Like these things have some heft to them. And what's neat is when you look at each of the different values of the coins, they're based on like the different nations. So like if you look at like the one coin looks like the old style Chinese coins, which is like round with a little square in the center, and then the different other coins, like one has like kind of like a Russian type of theme to it. Another one has like a British type theme to it. So it's neat to see how like they did all these different coins to represent the different nations of the game.
That's cool.
And then like I just recently got the upgraded like little components, the resource components, and like when you look at it, like he's done before these like component upgrade like chests that are realistic looking, and I kickstarted the first one, and it was like when you look at like the wood, and the one that I have has like stone, metal, wood, like little gems, clay, stuff like that. When like you look at it and it's like these little resin components, they look amazing. And he did like several of these, and then he's still working with that company and makes like a little set for side that the little food looks like a little bag with like grain sticking out the top. Wood looks like real wood. The little oil barrels look like real little oil barrels. Like it's unbelievable.
I love that kind of detail.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable.
That is nice.
Yeah.
How long does it usually take like for a game?
So like this is the thing that I find funny about his games. Like when you look at the traditional board game, it'll do a like 45 to 90 minute or like an hour to 2 hours. His games are like very specific. Let me see. Yeah. On the box, it says 115 minutes. Like not 120, not a 2 hours, like 115 minutes, like just under 2 hours. And it's funny because you look at his other ones and they're like, oh, it's like 49 minutes. And I'm like, that's pretty interesting. Like, I wonder how he came to that. Like, if he sat there like, all right, you guys know how to play it? All right, go. And just like hit a timer and said, okay, it's this amount. Like, I'd love to ask him like how he came up with the number and all that. But like our first run, like in reality, our first run we played, it was probably like a 3 to 3.5 hour game, but that was more of like we were learning how everything was going. But I honestly feel even with 3 people, like we could probably do it in about 1.5 to 2 hours, play a game. Because that's a big thing. Like even when you look at like any new game, I never go by what they put on the box because like, yep, that's like if you know all the rules, know exactly how your turns are going to go, yeah, that's what you're going to shoot for. So I usually will tell people if you're looking at a game and it's your first time playing it, whatever time the box tells you it'll take, double it, and that's what's probably going to take the first time you play the game.
So if someone is like, let's say, is there kind of like a rating system? Like, you know how with video games, someone will say, oh, if you play this video game and you've played video games in general before, it won't be hard to get the concept. But if you haven't played video games before, don't start with this one, start with this. And then they'll go more intricate into it and say, well, if you played RPGs before, you'll get this game. If not, you won't. In board games, do you have that? Like, for instance, for this game, if you're brand new to board games, is it harder to get into than if you played other types of board games, or don't we have that kind of rating system?
So that's the thing that's like really, really weird because when looking at board games in general, you have really 2 genres that like we've gone over this in the show. You have what they call the Ameritrash games, and then you have the Euro style games. So when you're looking at it, Ameritrash games are very theme heavy and rely a lot of the time on luck. So a lot of dice rolling and stuff like that. So strategy to the game, like, you know, if you sit there and you think about it, like Monopoly, Risk, like it is a game that has strategy to it. Like you have to know what properties to buy and this and that, but you're really like broken down to what are your rolls of your dice. Because like same thing with Risk, you can amass this huge army and I can have this one little spot on the board that I've turtled in and I could wipe you out because I got the better dice rolls, you know? Euro games will rely less on luck and more on strategy. And a lot of the times that when you're looking at they rely less on strategy, there is a lot, or they luck, better say, they rely less on. There is a theme to the game, but it is a almost like kind of painted on theme. And it's one of the jokes that like one of the bigger like board game reviewers says is like there's a lot of Euro games out there. You could literally strip the theme off of the game and just play the game. It'll still be a good game. Or you could strip this theme off of it and change it to this other theme and the game will still be really good because it doesn't matter what the setting is. It's the actual game itself. So the thing about it is like depending on how quickly you can pick up rules of games, because some of the Euro games don't have that complicated of rules, but some of them are like super heavy duty rules, is how well you'll pick up the game. Now, this is a type of game where it is a more Euro style game, but it does have different kind of like ways to do things. Like one of the biggest like changes to me is like I've played games where I'm like, oh, I want to produce these resources and they go into my hand and I don't have to worry about it. Whereas here in this game, he made it where like, oh, if you want to use those resources, you got to have control of that land. So it adds a bit of strategy of like, oh, I want to start spreading myself out, but I don't want to go out too far. And I don't want to like basically produce stuff and then leave out of the land. And now the resources are sitting there on the ground that anybody that comes in and then takes over that land, now they can use those resources.
Yeah.
So it's a really like you really think a lot about this game, and it's those good like really meaty, thinky type of games that is just like amazing. And it's interesting because I feel like I don't feel if you have a person that's really really good at the game go up against more novice people, like the person that's played it more is probably going to win, but it's not such a gap that I've seen in some Euros that it's like, oh, we're playing with, you, me, and Fred over here, and Fred's a master of this game. Like, you literally realize, like, I'm not going to win this game. Like, you and I are going to battle for second place type of a thing. Like, I don't feel like that this game is like that. Like, you all, as long as you don't do anything really crazy or dumb, like, everybody has, like, an even playing field for the game itself. So that's a kind of like thing where, I mean, I don't think it would be too hard. And that's what I like about a lot of his games. He doesn't make them so complicated that you'll sit there for like an hour in the rule book going, how the hell do I do this? Because that's another like killer thing when you're looking at a lot of Euro games is sometimes you'll look through the rule book and you'll be like, what in the holy hell are they talking about? And I laugh because there is one series of games. So if you look at out there, there is a game called Arkham Horror and this game called Eldritch Horror, which is the sequel to it. Really great games, and it's all based on like the H.P. Lovecraft universe, like the Cthulhu stuff. But I remember buying like Arkham Horror was probably one of the first board games I bought, and I remember sitting down and reading through the rule book and going, I completely don't understand how in the hell you play this game. Like completely lost. 30-something page manual, completely lost. And then I sat there and I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure if I look on YouTube, there's going to be a video that shows me how to play the game. And sure enough, I found a video. And when I watched the video was a 10-minute long video. And I'm like, that's kind of interesting that you have a 35-page manual and the instruction video is 10 minutes long. And I sat there and I watched the video. And the guy, what was interesting is like he went over how to set up the game, how to do a turn, and like what the strategy was. And he even referenced back to the book, And I sat there and I watched the video and I realized like, oh, it's not that complicated of a game. They just wrote the crap out of this book and overly explained stuff to make it sound more complicated than it actually is. And what I liked about this guy's video is he went over all the rules and the setup, and then he literally played a mock round just to show you how the turn went. Once I saw that, I was like, oh, I think I can sit there and play this game. And I literally sat down and played the game because it did have a single player aspect to it. And I was just like looking at it going, now I understand when some of these guys that do these reviews talk about like how a rule book can be written poorly, like now I understand. And that's I think a big challenge to a lot of games nowadays is if it's got a really bad rule book, like forget it. It's like trying to play a Nintendo game and not having the manual for it. And you're just like, I don't need to read that crap. I'll figure it out on my own. And then you realize like, wait a minute, this game's a lot more complicated than I think it is. Like seriously.
Well, for me today, I kind of have a show and tell / review. But before I go into that, I want to explain kind of like how the Obsolete Gamer Network and Obsolete Gamer as a website does reviews, because people take reviews different ways, different things. Sometimes there's even controversy as far as reviews. So our site's been around for a long time, 2009. So we've had reviews sent to us for all types of things, from games to hardware and things like that. And one of the things that we always try and do is make sure that A, it's something that we're interested in, and B, it's something that we are definitely going to use, or we would use, but if either we already have something and then we might pass it on to either a staff member, someone that writes for us, or to the audience sometimes. But the key is that we don't want to just shill something because we got something for free. Like, it's like, is this good? Is this a good company? Do they have good customer service? If you need to send it back, so a lot of times when someone sends me something, if I don't recognize the company right away, I'll go look at other reviews of their products and see how it is, and then be like, okay, let me now try the product out and then see if I could, say that it's something to look into. And we haven't really done reviews in a long time because it's just we've been more focused on different kind of content. But with this show, we want to be able to review things as it comes along. And being in computers and gaming, and I'm also in film, I have all types of different gadgets and equipment coming and going. I mean, my desk has 3 monitors on it, and I have a wall TV that doubles as another monitor, not to mention multiple tablets and things like that, my Fitbit and things like that. So having a docking station was actually pretty interesting. And even though I didn't personally think to myself, I need to go get one, when they sent that offer over, I was like, oh, that's interesting. And for me, I always saw 2 different types of docking stations. Like you had like the old laptops when people really didn't actually like typing on laptops. They had like the kind of docking station where you could almost connect your laptop directly to it, and then you could use your keyboard, your monitor, your mouse, all that. And then you have the second kind, which is this one from Accell, where basically you plug in something with a USB, and then you have access to all these different ports that you can plug in all types of different devices and such. So, I've never actually done an open box before, so I'm going to do an open box. So see, you have the item here, and it's cool. So now I already plugged this in and used it, but full disclosure, I put it back into the box and zip tied everything to make it look all new. But so this is you have to do your research first. I'm not going to do a whole plug-in thing. This is not that kind of a show. So this is a USB 3.0 docking station. So basically how this works is you already have like your PC. And if you're like me and a lot of other people who are gamers and have all types of stuff, your USB and all of your plugs and connections and ports are probably full. Like mine is full of all types of different devices, from my mouse to my keyboard to my webcam and so on. So what's really cool about having an item like this compared to, like, let's say just a USB hub, is this gives you access to more than just additional USB ports. So this uses USB 3.0, and then you also have power. So you have your power cable. So this is the section, has a long cable. This is a section that actually plugs in to the back of the unit here. And then you also have the actual power cable. So combined, you really have like a really nice long cable. And it also came with the USB cable. And basically you have various ports that you can use, and I'll go through all the different ports that you have on it. So of course here you have your USB 3.0 ports. So you get the full speed that with the USB 3.0. And then here on the back, you have your Ethernet port, and then you have a display port, which has, let me get the exact numbers. I had it here, 38 by 40 by 21 by 60. And then you have an HDMI port, which does 2560 by 1440. And then over here, you have another USB 3.0 port, USB B, USB A, USB B. So when you plug the item in, now all of a sudden you have access to have all these additional ports, which is great, because if some people don't have like a extra video card, for instance, so this actually has that technology in it. So if you have, like, let's say you have your regular HDMI monitor, or you have a display adapter, then you plug in your other monitor and you're able to watch, expand your desktop over to that new monitor without having that dual card video card, which is great because not everyone has that. I have the old GeForce 580, so that's fine. But if you have a single connection video card, you're able to extend with this. And even though my card is a little bit outdated, I did read to see how it would perform even if your card is older than that, because a lot of times people say that when you're using like docking stations like this and you connect it and you're using the integrated video card, that what will happen is that when you're trying to drag items back and forth, you'll get like latency, you'll get lag or something like that. It doesn't perform well. Now, with me, it performed fine. And from what I read on other reviews, it also performed fine. If you have Windows 7 up to Windows 10, it works. I'm using Windows 10, so that's what I tested it on. So, I also did miss one port. You have this port here for your headphones. So think about that. You get 3-in-1. So you basically plug in. I realize I probably just shouldn't have re-zip tied these. I tied these too tight. But so how it basically works is once you plug in the power, then you plug in to the USB 3.0B back here, right? And then you plug into your computer, and then of course your power. And then once you have that, then you have access to all your ports here. And it's great because you have also the sound that comes integrated into the system so that you can listen through this device. So in the end, it's like you could bring in your other devices and just hook it up to here. So instead of having like everything spread out, like I used to have like a little mini USB extender that would like hang from the front of my computer, and it didn't work well. This sits like right underneath my monitor, and it's stylish and it works really well. Now, one of the things that some people did say as far as reviewing it was the cost. It cost like $159. But even though I don't need to take this item on the road, people have said that if you're going places where you need to have a docking station, you want something that's durable. And I can tell you, like, you look at it and you might think, oh, this looks like it might be like cheap or plastic. No, it's like, it's really sturdy, so it's something that one of the reviewers talked about how they were able to like just throw it in their bags with their electronics and something, and they don't have to worry about, a slight little bump or something and it stopped working. Now, obviously you still want to take care of your electronics, but it's sturdily made so that you can take it on the go with you and be able to access it. So, I mean,
it's a sturdy
overall,
cheap plastic.
Yes, it's still plastic, but hey, look, it's good stuff. So, as I said, when it comes to reviews, I'm not going to sit out here and be like, go get this today. That's not what this is about. This is more specifically about if you have a need. Sometimes you got to spend more money, because that's one thing that I learned definitely, because I used to be the kind of person that I would need something. Let's say I needed a USB stick. I would go online and try and look for the cheapest one. And I'd be like, oh, $5.99. And then no, it turns out that's not good. Sometimes I've learned getting a little bit older that you spend a little bit more money, you get a good product, you don't have to send it back. So,
hey, bro, $14.99 for a 64 gig 3.0 USB Micro Center USB stick.
Who's that through?
Micro Center.
Oh, Micro Center. Yeah, you said
yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's working so far. I'm not going to knock it. It's $15. I was like, hey, you know what? For $15, what the hell? But that's interesting. God, I didn't realize how old of a video card you you had.
Yeah.
Good God, man. I'm over here rocking a GTX 1080.
Hey, look, all of us don't have. We're not all balling, man. Some of us are poor over here.
we ain't got that Blue Yeti mic money rolling around here.
Nope. I got this from my job as a roadie.
I will tell you, you may not be the person to be like, go out and buy it. No, I will tell you, people, go out and buy Scythe. Like, give that man some money, because good God, that game is phenomenal. Keep that man's business going. And Jeremy, if you see this and you want to come on, reach out to us. I'll be tweeting this and hopefully you'll reply. I would love to just fanboy crush on you during the interview, please.
I'm just gonna sit back and I'll just go marvel like, yeah, he got it. He got it.
Like I said, the thing that's amazed me is the man has, of the 5 games that his company released, the man has designed 4 of them, and all 4 of them are great. Like, I have yet to play a bad game from the one that he has designed or from his company. And I haven't played the last one, which I heard got phenomenal reviews as well. It's the only one I haven't played is the Tales of Two Cities, or yeah, is it? Or Between Two Cities, I think is the name of it. And it's an interesting game in what it sounds like, because you can play up to 4 people, and it's like a card-based or tile-based game that you're building stuff and you can build points, but you also like can make points off of what your neighbors are playing in their cities. And it's neat because you can together put like a monument in between the 2 cities, and it gives you both extra points. So it's like you're trying to get your points, but at the same time, you need to help out your neighbors to get more points for yourself. So it's an interesting cooperative competitive type of game that like sounds really, really interesting. Like I said, I have yet to play it, but I've heard nothing but good reviews for it.
I gotta ask, with all these board games that you've been showing me, where do you keep them? Do you have like a board game room that I don't know about, or is it just you have it stacked up in your closet?
I don't think I have the photo on my phone, but I essentially, so if you've ever gone to like IKEA and seen those like Kallax shelves, I think is what they call them. They're the little shelves that are like square, and then you can buy them in like a single row of 4 or 8. Like I have a living room where I have my TV that has some of those, and then I have other shelves that I have. That's essentially where I have my collection. Let me see. I gotta sit there. I know I have a picture that I'll send you of just my collection. And when I show people my collection, they're like, how many games do you have? I'm like, when you look at it, over 100.
Oh, wow.
So I like, it's funny because for me, like I started with 1 game and started collecting slowly. And it went from, a couple games here, to like literally in a 3-year time span, I've had 100, I have 100 plus board games. And what's funny is I've sold some. So I've literally sold the ones that I've replaced one game with another one because like I enjoyed the same mechanics, but it was just better done, and I'll sell off the older one. And then also as I've gotten more advanced into playing, my wife and I, like we've sold off more of our beginner stuff that we used to have. So I'll have to take a photo and send it to you because you're gonna sit there and go, good God.
Hey, cool. Now, before we go though, I do want to. I'm gonna put you on the spot, and I'm gonna tell all our audience that Randy's gonna be going to PAX East.
Oh yes, yes.
And he's gonna bring us some awesome videos back, so that make sure that he does get it.
Yes, it'll be funny. So my big thing is, I went to PAX East. I want to say like 3 or 4 years ago, and I remember going through, and it was funny because it was so loud, and you're going, and it's just like that playing in the background, and you're trying to go through, and you're trying to get to these like games, and like it's funny because I sat there and I was like, man, I would love to record some video of this, but then I was sitting there thinking like, I could probably record video, and all you're going to hear is the in the background, and you're not going to hear a word of me like saying, hey, this is blah, blah, blah. So like, I'm at the point where I want to go and like record stuff and just test it out and see what it's like. Because if at least in what I've seen of how like iPhones record stuff, like you could have background noise, but you could be talking and the phone does a really good job of like focusing in on your voice and it'll record it. So I'm hoping that I can get some video. And if it does do a pretty good like testing job of just like recording stuff, I would love, because one of like the big things that they have there at PAX East, which is really cool, is they have like a really nice indie section where they'll have like a lot of people showing off their indie video games, and they have a nice like board game section too. I'd love to get some interviews with some of the people, because I remember like that year that I went, if you guys have ever played, let me pull up my Steam library. There's a game that's out now, and come on, Steam, connect. Come
We gotta get you like a Geek Salad shirt so you can represent.
That's what you gotta do. But it's what's the name of this stupid game? Hold please. Brawlhalla is the name of the game. Which, when you look at it, it's like almost like a Super Smash Brothers clone, if you were, on Steam, and it's a free-to-play game. They actually were showing it off there right before they released it, and me and like my friend that were there, we played it, and they gave us like an early access code before it was out. So I had been playing Brawlhalla since before it released. Like I played it for a good like 6 to 8 months before it released. And it's cool because a lot of the indie people there, like they'll have you try out their games. They'll ask like, what do you think of it? Do you think there's anything we could change and all that? And they may give like you a code to play or something like that to continue to play. But it's really cool because like if I can, I would love to sit there and talk with some of those people if I can get some good audio out of it. To bring it home and like, hey, show you guys stuff that, you know, I'll upload you the videos of that.
Or just go out and get a high-powered camera and put it on the Obsolete Gamer Network account, which we don't have.
Which is funny because like I could technically, so that's the funny thing is I could technically take the I have a DSLR camera that I'd be able to shoot great video with, but the problem will be is the mic on that thing is horrible, and if I were to film it, all you would hear is you wouldn't hear any audio from us. So like now that at least I have an 8 Plus that has a really nice camera on it and it could do 4K video, I could probably get good audio and good video for it. The only thing that concerns me about it this year, I will say, is I believe I know folks that went to it last year, and the year that I went, it was pretty chilly outside. Like it was probably like mid to upper 20s outside. And they had you go up to the convention center, and then you had a bag check, a security bag check, and then they essentially had you go inside, and they had you line up in the inside like this pre-hall area, and then you could go into the main hall. Supposedly somebody that went last year said, oh yeah, they didn't do that they haven't done that, but they have everybody wait outside. And they were like, last year, it was like 15 degrees or something like that. And there were people that were waiting outside for like 3 hours to get into the hall. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that, like sit outside if it's that cold.
Can't blame you there.
Sit out there and wait to go in. And if there's any like bad thing that I could say about PAX, you know, that it's, I mean, I totally understand why they do it, is for specific like game demos, they put a limit on the line, because if not, like you'd have these like super long lines. So like the year I went, Blizzard had a 15-minute playable demo of Overwatch before it came out. And I must have tried at least 6 or 7 times throughout the day to try and get into the line to play it, and I couldn't get into the line. Because every time we went, they're like, oh, no, the line's cut off. You have to wait. You have to come back. And it was like, God damn it.
That's why you got to flash that Obsolete Gamer. Be like, Obsolete Gamer.
Yeah,
it's like, the doors will open. The sea will part.
Like, it was hilarious because I remember that year, like, they had Overwatch there. This was, like, big when both Vive and Oculus were, like, just getting ready to release. So they had demos of it. And what was really funny is, like, there was no line to test out the Vive. You had to like register on some like website, and then they did this like lottery drawing for the day, and that's how you got a scheduled time to come and check out the Oculus. And I was like, Jesus, I'm like, they're doing this on a lottery, like crazy register, take a blood sample type website, you know? Like they want to know who they're letting into their booth, man. Oh man, it was such chaos, and I'm looking forward to it. Like, and that was the thing, is I only went to one day that year, because like I had a friend that had a spare ticket, and that was the only reason why I went. This year, like I found out the dates that it was. I put the time off at work, and I'm like, I don't care if I get tickets or not. I got the time off. And then as soon as I like got the note, like, and it was funny, like the story of how I got PAX tickets was so funny. Like I remember I was off of work, either that or I remember like I came home early from work or something. Like I wasn't feeling well. I had this like really bad migraine, and I remember I got home and I took some like Excedrin and all that, and I'm laying on the couch. And I remember like I'm just sitting there and I have like a towel over my eyes, kind of like blocking out the light, and some ice on my head just to like make the headache go away. And I'm laying there and I'm like, I start falling asleep. And I remember because I had subscribed to the PAX Twitter that they would send notifications when the tickets went live. I remember hearing the notification of Twitter giving me like, hey, you're getting a notification. And I remember kind of like lifting the towel up, and I'm laying on my side and I grab my phone and I kind of like click the thing, and I see like PAX tweeted, hey, PAX East tickets are officially on sale. And I was like half asleep, half awake. So like in my mind, I was like, yo, like I'm dreaming, like they're putting the tickets off on sale. This is cool. And then I was just like sitting there going like, I'm like getting ready to fall back asleep. And then it's just like, my mind just like, wait a minute, they're selling the ticket. So it was like that whole like, and it was funny. It's like, wait a minute, they're selling tickets. And then I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, wait, is this a dream or am I actually awake? And I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to go turn on my computer and see, because if it is real, I better not get the tickets. So sure enough, they were on sale. So I got into the queue, and I think I only had to wait like 2 minutes before it gave me the option to buy my tickets. So I was like, yes! I was like, I got the tickets!
Nice.
Represent. And it's funny because this year is different because they went from doing a 3-day PAX to a 4-day PAX. So instead of it being Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I'm going Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm like, I'm not going Sunday. I'm taking that day as my recuperation day. But what's interesting is in previous PAXs, they would have like you could buy the individual days, or you could buy like a one pass that was good for the whole PAX. They actually, for PAX East, I believe it was this year. If not this year, it was last year. They eliminated the multi-day pass. And the reason why they did that is because the scalpers were buying the crap out of those multi-day passes and then reselling them. So now they made it like you can only get 1-day passes at a time, and you can only get, I think, up to 4 tickets per household. So, and then they were like, they basically put a big warning. They're like, don't be a scalper and buy more than 4 tickets to one household, because we'll find out. And guess what? We'll revoke all those tickets.
Oof. Hey, well, that's good. It's better for the people.
It's better for the people, bro. But yeah, dude, I'm looking forward to that. Like, I can't wait to like just get some stuff to bring and show y'all, and get taken down by copyright. No, we're like, this new game is boop copyright, copyright claim. Like, no. Oh man. Well, once again, my friend, it was a very, very nice show. It was good getting together with you, doing it once again for all you folks out there. But thank you all for watching us. And if you hear us because you're listening to the audio version of this, come by, watch the video. You'll enjoy it even more. You'll get to see stuff that you can't hear, like me giving you the thumbs up.
Or Randy's cat.
Or my cat, yeah, the internet famous cat, which she disappeared about 2 shows ago. But yeah, we love having you guys come by. We love getting feedback from you guys. But as always, get out there and game, you guys. We love doing this guy for you. Subscribe to us. Hit the little notification squad button so you know when we got new ones up. But as always, this is me, Randy, and my buddy J.A. Peace.